Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. I was just doing some gardening. Please buy my Junt branded products and services. All right. It is the summer season for growing, and we're going to do 2 tasks today. One's related to winter moths, going back to our roots. So first thing I want to show you guys, if you remember last year on one of our first episodes of Juntin' Around Outdoors, we took these out and I put them in the basement, and I started them indoors a while ago. I've just planted them not too long ago out here, just a couple weeks, and they are doing spectacular. All 3 of them have come back. I wasn't sure about the one over here, and it's a little behind, you can see. But it's doing okay.
You mentioned that you weren't going to replant them there.
I thought about it because I had tulips in there in the spring, but I decided to go back to them because they did really well here. Take a close look, Frankie. These are the winter moth caterpillars.
This tree is covered in dead caterpillars.
Covered, and it's actually been pretty windy here, so a lot of them have blown off. It was even more covered just the other day.
What happened?
That is the big question. They did most of their life cycle. They went all the way up, they did all the eating, and then while coming down to finish the cycle, to bury into the ground, they all died.
Didn't you spray chemical?
Last year I did, Zach, but this year I actually did nothing at all.
Maybe the chemical like lingered in the leaves.
It could have, but it's not supposed to go that long. I put a bunch of stuff in the ground that was supposed to pull up into the leaves and make it so that when they ate it, they got sick.
What a depressing situation for them. They were on their way back down.
It's like you go to OCB, you gorge yourself, and walk out dead.
You die on the way out of the restaurant.
When you put it that way, it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. That's exactly kind of how it went down. And, I mean, I guess I can eventually get...
It sort of works. It's very Mario Sunshine.
I'm going to do it a different way. I had a broom over here. Frank's going to get me a broom. In the meantime, EJ, look at the beautiful way that these elephant ear leaves reflect the moisture next to the corpse of a rotting caterpillar.
Ugh. Ugh. That bothers me for some reason.
Oh my God, it smells too. You can smell them. It smells like organic. It's not a nice smell, is it?
What a terrible problem. And you're never going to get high enough.
It's not hurting the tree at all. It's just gross. Eventually they will all fall off. Little grippers on their feet are just chemical grippers and they'll eventually wear out. But this year was much less bad than last year. I'm hoping with this big die-off again, next year will be even less bad. Why don't we take a look at something else I was working on? What I did was I had a bunch of tulips in those containers that I took out in the spring. I didn't want to just throw them away because if they finish out their life cycle, they're perfectly fine to save and replant again. Here is a perfectly fine daffodil plant. We can save these and actually replant them in the fall.
Seems like a lot of work. I'd just rebuy them.
That's what a lot of people would do, Frankie. Sometimes it's nice to, you know, experience the full life cycle of a plant. I just like to save them. Last year I saved a whole bunch of gladiolus. Usually gladiolus, you plant them. I dig them up. Usually you just leave them to die in the winter. And I planted them again. They're beautiful up the top of the road.
What dissuades me is there's a serious amount of bugs in there.
Well, bugs are just a fact of working outdoors. There's really nothing you can do about it.
I hate them a lot.
Did you never play outside much as a kid?
I did.
And bugs weren't like, you know, ooh, bugs
I think
all
when I was
over
a kid, I didn't care as much.
Bugs didn't bother me as a kid. As I get older, they bother me more.
This one obviously just grew this year. Next year, that'll be a little daffodil. So another big thing I've been doing this year, trying something new, is planting a bed of annuals. I've got a whole display of these begonias. We've got some darker ones in the back, some lighter ones in the front, and I'm hoping they'll fill in and be really nice.
They look nice so far.
And as they fill out and kind of fill in the space in between, which they will, I think it'll look really nice. I got these on clearance for $1.28 for 6 of them.
What happened to the 1,000 tulips?
They're all still here, under the ground, waiting. All right, so one of the things I want to show you, Frankie, we went to that lovely plant sale. I want to show you where I planted all of those plants. This is that variegated, I still left the thing here so I could look at it, Artemisia. And I put it in a little tiny pot because they spread viciously. Sometime last November, you and I went to Not Your Average Joe's, and I said, I'm going to take some pieces of a plant in there in the parking lot. And I did. That is a variegated hydrangea. Some things, Frankie, in life are great in theory and not so much in practice. This, if you remember, I bought at the fair. I was super excited about it. There's way too many plants in this pot for this size. And there's one full flower, and it's actually pretty pretty. It's a nice orange lily. We've got this Rose of Sharon that I got at the fair, and one that has died. Just a little variegated plant, but it's been eaten to death.
I'm not sure what you're going for here, because this to me just feels like woods.
This is kind of just planting.
They'll grow pretty tall. They get
Yeah, it kind of makes a nice display here.
Okay.
This area right here is going to be a brand new garden. There used to be a shed here a while ago. I had my friend Matt come and clean it all out. and I'm gonna create a brand new garden here with a nice little water fountain, some grass down, a couple chairs, nice area to sit.
Just pretty plants.
So basically some beds along the sides, a little pond or something, and then just grass in the middle with a couple nice chairs. This is pretty secluded. It's a nice little area. And there's a nice little space under there where not much is grown. We've got the huge hosta. I planted that here permanently. It's getting a lot of sun. I want it to get huge. I've also got something I don't normally do, which is vegetables here. I didn't want to plant a full-fledged vegetable garden. I've got a bunch of tomatoes, red potatoes I planted right there. See how they're planted so low? I'm gonna cover them again with soil. They'll make more potatoes and keep growing up. You do that a few more times, get a lot of potatoes. Also got some onions and a ton of lettuce, which is looking really good right there. Somebody bought these plants to work as like, oh, I don't have any more room for these plants, and they were just kind of dying sadly on a desk at work. So I decided to take them all home and give them some life here. This area also has been raked out, and my plan here is to just regrow the grass. But you can't grow grass in the summertime, it's too hot. You can only really grow it in the spring or in the fall. Right. The final plant I bought at the plant sale is this Solomon seal, and I've put it here with the hopes that it will eventually, over time, fill this whole area. It's going to take me probably 4 or 5 years, but it'll make a really nice display, and it'll absorb a lot of the water that's coming off that gutter.
I think your plant hoarding is going great.
There's still nearly infinite space to put additional hoarded plants. Look over here, we got all these pathways with hardly anything planted. Plant hoarding for years to come.
Of the week. ABC presents an original motion picture produced especially for the movie of the week. Tonight on the movie of the week, Kim Darby, William Shatner, Diane Barcy.
Badminton? It's wrong. Terrible. But it's forbidden. Why, are you afraid that they might learn how to laugh or to simply walk like a normal child? They never can be normal.